Okay, let's get this training started. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jeff Molander, and this is a special edition social media copywriting course, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful Social Copywriters. Now, I promise that the next 35-40 minutes or so will be packed with practical tips that you have probably never heard before, all aimed at making what you write earn more behavior, more sign-ups, more sales leads. Not friends, not likes, no followers, leads, referrals, and sales. Okay, real quick, I will be taking your questions at the conclusion of this lesson, okay? So if you have questions, go ahead and type them into your chat pane at any time, and we'll be getting to questions at the end. Okay, now, your time is precious, and I do not expect you to listen to what I have to share with you today without having a really good reason. Right now, I know you want to know what's in this training for me, so let's get to it. And before I give you what you're here for, I want you to know something about me. Just one thing. I use everything that I'm about to give you to power my own success. This stuff that I'm about to share with you is not social media guru talk. This is what I do every day to create my own success. And one other thing, effective content. Let's define what effective content is. Effective content is knowledge, useful information, tips and advice that helps your target market do or accomplish something in a way that creates buying confidence in them. And as part of that process, content is designed to create curiosity in what you sell. So your copy, your words, are structured to make the customer curious about how what you sell might be able to bring them even further toward the goal. Okay? This is my definition of content marketing. That's why we are here today, to discover how to structure words, content, in ways that provokes interest in us, in how we can help the customer for free, and that gets us trusted enough in doing that to start talking to them about what we sell. So the definition of effective content is founded in exceptionally strong copywriting. Okay, so let's get to it. Here is what this training, here's what's in this training for you today. At the highest level, I will show you what to avoid, what does not work. And now let's be clear, a lot of what we are told does work actually does not. You may have already experienced this. I did for the longest time. We will look extensively at what does work and the success principles that will guide you to write in ways that create the behavior that you are looking for in your customers. Okay? These are the habits that we want to be forming, these success principles, because if we take what we know works and turn these ideas into habits, well, we are on easy street, right? Well, at least it's a lot easier. That's when social media copywriting starts to both work and feel kind of effortless. So now at the end of this training, I want you to start making these 7 habits serve you in everyday life, okay? So by the end of today's session, you will understand what the success principles are, why they work so well, and we'll have seen some examples of who is using these principles to create more sales leads more often in their own businesses, my business included, okay? So plus, you'll be ready at the end of this session to begin taking your first steps on putting them to work for you in your setting. But if you do not act on this stuff that I'm sharing with you today, you will not experience more success. Be sure of that. So as I chat with you, please remember the value of this information is not in the knowing. It really is in the doing of what I'm sharing with you here. So the bottom line is this training is not a starting point for knowing. It is a starting point for doing. Okay, so let's have at these 7 habits that I keep talking about here. So number 1, here they are real quick. Let's breeze through them and then dive into each one for a few minutes to see them in action. Okay, so that you can start doing this yourself. Number 1, get back to basics. Now, you're probably thinking, that sounds trite. Well, perhaps, but bear with me for a moment. What do I mean by this? And by the way, I realize that for some of you, copywriting is new, and it was for me too. Even though I had spent a large amount of my career actually selling to direct response companies. I needed to know about them, and I studied them, but yet I wasn't myself, when I moved into the business I'm in now, I wasn't using copywriting to grow my business, even though I was familiar with the people who were doing it. So this habit will really help us get grounded, okay? And I'm going to get to what I mean by back to basics in just a moment. And for those of you who aren't familiar with copywriting basics, this is going to be a real eye-opener for you. Number 2 is, what is it? It is follow a proven old-school process. Now, the trick here is to ignore most of what the so-called experts these days tell us works, because most of it won't. So don't get caught up in the showing that you're human, show your human side type of stuff, and telling a good story when you write. This is the secret sauce. This is what really works. Well, this stuff is nonsense. Really, seriously, having personality, being interesting, being engaging, these are the entry fees. I mean, this is elementary. If you don't have that stuff, you're in big trouble. So what will really make a difference for you is having an effective social media copywriting process. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about, the old school process. Number 3, rethink the role of your blog. Really quick, blogs are being terribly undervalued right now and are underperforming for marketers and sales reps in a time where they cannot afford to be, in a time where right now where they, for those of us who are using blogs, we're using them even more effectively. Okay, so I'm going to qualify that statement in just a moment. Number 4, start by focusing on your headlines. 2 things here. First, the world that we live in, unfortunately, has been reduced to headlines. Because we're all really busy, right? Secondly, headlines are a logical starting point for you, because effective headlines start the copywriting process. They really are kind of a great starting point. They get right to the point. Effective headlines get right to the point. They appeal to the emotional and tangible desires of prospects in ways they cannot resist acting on. So I'll give you some of my best shortcuts to writing headlines that are proven to drive behavior. Okay, high-performing salespeople know something really interesting. That's number 5. That affirming reader's choice. When a salesperson says to a client or prospect, "I know I'm interrupting you," or "I know you've got options here that don't include me," when you say that to prospects, you're going to get an immediate and honest response. We're going to talk about how to use this technique to boost your success by writing calls to action that reaffirms prospects' right to choose. That literally says to them, "I know you've got a choice here." Okay, so for those of you who are looking for some advanced tips, that's an advanced tip for you. Okay, number 6, avoid descriptors. Real easy one to talk about and to say, "Oh, I can do that," but really difficult to get in the habit of doing. But once you get in the habit of doing it, you're talking to a guy who has. I'm telling you, the benefits are phenomenal. It's just mind-blowing. What I'm getting at here is adjectives and adverbs. They are the devil when it comes to writing good motivational copy. Removing them creates amazing results. Why? A few reasons. One of which is how it creates distinction in you, in your brand. Because very few people speak in simple terms nowadays. Most marketers and salespeople are prone to using words that accidentally kind of discourage prospects from taking action. We use a lot of adjectives and adverbs. We're trying to dress up the way we talk. Okay? So, and finally, number 7, make readers crave more content. Effective content makes buyers hungry for more content. So when we write, let's keep in mind that every piece of content that you write should make readers crave more content from you. It sounds really basic, really obvious, but are you doing that? So, okay, let's dive in here. I've given you a high level on each one of those. Number one, get back to basics. What the heck do I mean by this? We hear a lot about what content marketing is all about. And frankly, I think it's mostly a load of bullshit. Now, I'm not saying this because I want you to shock you or be like Gary Vee. I'm saying this because what the leading voices in content marketing are missing in all the advice that they're offering is the most important part of creating success. That is defining effective content marketing as words or videos that create a desired outcome, behavior, not engagement, because engagement is just the beginning. It's not the end. And once you realize and appreciate this point of view, you will realize how powerful it is to stop writing to influence buyers and start writing with the goal in mind, the behavior that you're looking for. Because getting people to act on your words is really all that matters. It's all that matters. So when I say get back to basics, I'm really talking about a point of view. Social media copywriters are in the business of helping potential and existing customers to, number one, believe there's a better way. Number two, realize they just found it. And number three, acting on that realization. So the job of what we write has got to be getting people to take that first step toward what they want, because this gives us a sales lead. Now, I'm going to show you a quick example here at Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income site. Now, if you don't know who Pat Flynn is, I'd be a little bit surprised, but that's okay. So let me switch off here over to Pat's site. And now Pat's site is, again, going to illustrate the point of, when you arrive at this site, there's no way that you can't believe that there is a better way after reading a little bit. And there's no way that you can't realize that you just found that better way. And Pat makes sure that you find a way to act on that realization. Okay, so this is his front page. And, for those of you who don't know Pat, he's, like he says here, I'm the crash test dummy of online business, sharing what works and what doesn't, so that you know exactly how to build your business better. Okay, so he's built a successful information-based business online, showing people how to do the same. So he's got, across his top, he's got home, about, blog, start here, podcast. I encourage you, we don't have a lot of time right now, but as an example, check out Pat's site. And if you're familiar with his site, go back to his site and realize and keep this, what we're talking about here, in mind, this success principle. Okay, there is no way that when you are clicking around on Pat's site that you will leave this site believing that there isn't a better way, and realizing, hey, I just found it. I'm sucked into this site. There are so many places in this site that I can find what I need, that and I'm going to take action. With all Pat's calls to action, there's a call to action for every type of emotional desire and tangible desire that Pat-specific customers want. Okay, so again, I don't have time to go into his site and because we've got all these points to get through. So switching back, later I want you guys to go through and look at it with those glasses on. Okay. So what does it take to actually create that action? Well, what it takes is this provocation or this development of curiosity. It really is that simple. Our job, our very basic job, is to create intense curiosity that compels a reader or a listener or viewer to want to know more. That is literally 80% of the game. So making this a part of your everyday life is a very basic habit to form. It's a necessity. So this is what I want you guys to think about today. As social media copywriters, our goal is to provoke curiosity. We need to create so much curiosity that buyers cannot resist putting themselves on the path, right? On the journey to either having their problem solved or their goal reached to become a lead. So let's take a look at a couple of examples here. There's a couple of ways that this happens. So let me switch back over to my browser again, and I want you to take a look at what I'm doing here inside a group called the Social Media Strategy Group, where I'm having some success myself using Google+. This is a Google+ community for those of you who are not familiar with Google+. And if you're not familiar with Google+, it's cool. Don't worry about it. It's very, in terms of the conversations that you're able to start here and participate in, it's kind of like Facebook. It's kind of like LinkedIn. But what I want to show you here as we kind of scroll through, I'll stop here and we'll look at this conversation here. Give your best content away free to create leads, all of it. And on the left, are experts dumbing down content marketing at your expense? What I'm trying to do here is I'm being provocative, okay? And on the left, I'm being provocative. I'm asking a very provocative question. And as you can see, I'm getting 17 pluses, Google pluses, which is important. Again, we're not going to have the time to get into why. But I'm getting engagement. We're getting people to share. I'm getting some nice comments here. On the right-hand side, you can see I'm getting some nice pluses, giving your best content away for free, all of it. And again, what I'm trying to do here is create curiosity, right? And in the first few lines there, you can see what I'm trying to do is provoke. Well, whether I'm doing it very well or not in this one here, let's see here. Get better response on LinkedIn messages in 3 steps. The common trait of responsive LinkedIn email and in-mail messages is the structure of message content. You guys see this? Again, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to create curiosity. I'm trying to tell people something they've never heard before, or I'm trying to make it to really say, I've got the answer. I've got the itch or the scratch for your itch. Okay, that's really 90% of what this is all about. Okay, so and again, we're going to talk more about this as we progress. So let me switch back here. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to show you another example real quick here. I want to switch over to Joey Giangola's website. Now, if you don't know who he is, Joey is an insurance sales guy, and he's more than an insurance sales guy. He's a real trailblazer in the insurance industry, which is struggling right now in terms of content marketing and social media. But what Joey is doing is he's blogging in ways that create this natural sense of curiosity. So let's look at his blog here. 13 questions answered about Ohio's health insurance exchange, and he's including a video here. So what he's doing here as we scroll down is he's answering health insurance questions, and God knows people have a lot of health insurance exchange questions with the new Obamacare stuff. So what Joey is doing here is he's 1, 2, 3. Here you can see his video. 4, 5, 6, 7. He's answering very common questions, and this is a very effective technique to answer questions for your customers. A lot of you guys have heard me talk about this before, but what I want to draw your attention to here is the copywriting technique. What's going on here is Joey is building curiosity. When he almost naturally, when he answers all of these questions, it almost naturally encourages the reader to realize, gee, Joey's got a lot of answers. Let me watch his video. He's got some calls to action in the video, all promoting this thing here at the bottom, his free guide that he wants you to download, How to Understand Ohio's Health Insurance Marketplace. He's got a nice Download Now button. You can click on here. You go to a landing page. That's a highly effective landing page for a lot of reasons that I can't get into at the moment. But my point here is that Joey is using a specific technique to get you more curious about, as a reader, about what other questions he might be able to have the answer for, and that's what his download does here. You can see here, get answers to all of your questions. I don't know if you can see that at the bottom there. Step-by-step application guide to your health insurance marketplace. How to understand Ohio's health insurance marketplace. Very targeted toward a specific region, specific answers, and again using this system. So let's get back over to my main presentation here. Again, it's this technique being used to create curiosity. So don't get caught up in the number 2. Don't get caught up in the show you're human and tell a good story nonsense. What we really need to be focusing on here is exploiting the effective old school processes. What worked a long time ago still works for the most part online. Having a personality and being interesting is the entry fee. It is essential. The force multiplier here for you as in effective social media copywriting is process. And it is an old school process. So let's drill into this process just a little bit, okay? Effective social media copywriting gets to the point immediately, wastes no time. It also has something new and useful to say, right? This is what I was doing a minute ago in my Google Plus posts. And if you guys want to link up with me with Google Plus, that's great. You can track how I'm doing this with success. Get to the point immediately with your title. Have something new and useful to say, and don't say too much too fast. Make sure you're specific. Make sure that you are useful, because you've got to be credible. You've got to be actionable in what you're sharing, but you also have to be a little mysterious. And this, again, is where the quote-unquote experts really miss it. Okay, it's this leaving out a little bit, creating hunger for more details. That, again, creating curiosity about what else you might be able to help with. Okay, so again, if you want to look back at my Google Plus posts, anything that I'm posting to Google Plus uses this this formula. Okay, I promise if you jot down and hang on to these guidelines on your wall, you will have an easier time writing in ways that provoke response on social media and getting leads. Okay, now these ideas are really old school, but their importance is amplified online because of how fast life has become online now. We've got to get to the point fast, have something new to say, and then slowly, slow prospects down a little bit. Once we've got them, slow them down a little bit, tease them a bit, and get them hungry or curious for more of those details. So in just a minute, I'm going to share with you some classic formulas and processes that you will be able to follow that will guide you in writing effective headlines and lead paragraphs and calls to action. Okay, plus, after this course, I'm going to email you a short ebook that contains worksheets and everything that you're going to need to get going with the formulas that I'm about to share with you. Okay, so number 3, I'm really pressed for time, and I apologize I'm talking so fast, guys, but I want to relate a lot of information to you in a very little amount of time. Number 3, rethink the role of your blog. Now, for most of us, it really is necessary to rethink the role of our blogs in the overall content marketing mix. And here is why, as it relates to what and how you write on social platforms. Okay? The problem is this nowadays, and you may be experiencing this. Landing pages, where we exchange buyers' contact information for our advice, landing pages are becoming less effective. Buyers don't sign up as much. They give fake email addresses, right? You guys may be experiencing this. If you're not, you will be. Point blank, we cannot keep telling readers to give up their contact information in exchange for our white paper or checklist or tip sheet without first offering them something of substance. Tips, advice of substance. As an example, let's quickly click over to Marcus Sheridan's River Pools and Spas site. Okay, you want to talk about someone who has put everything into his blog, mainly with Google in mind, of course, to create the world's largest database of answers to questions relating to buying a pool and spa on the consumer side. Okay, that's definitely a primary goal here. But what Marcus is done is he's really repositioned his blog as the focal point, because he knows. So let's look here what he's got going on here. Okay. Now, first of all, Marcus has got lots and lots of written content on. He builds his blog as the only blog that you're going to need, the only place online that you're going to need to buy a swimming pool, a fiberglass swimming pool, or really any swimming pool. Okay. So you can see the type of questions and answers here as I scroll through that he is engaged in. And if you can see the URL here. If you guys are not familiar with Marcus's blog, he's pretty well known in the industry. I want you to check it out and take a look at what's going on here. But the reason I'm showing this to you is because Marcus, and he's landing people at landing pages. Okay, but what Marcus is doing is Marcus is giving tons of information away before he asks for, he's willing to give a lot of information away before he's willing to ask you to sign up for his as you can see on the right here, his fiberglass pool buying guide. Okay? This particular post he's got here is the unbiased pool owner speaking out regarding concrete versus fiberglass pool debate. Okay, didn't know there was a debate. Well, now you know there's a debate. Again, this title sucks you in. Okay, not to mention being written in a way that sings very well to the search engines and the structure of this page. Okay, and the video structure. So again, we don't have time to get into all of those little details, but what Marcus is doing here, and you can see this call to action down here, download your free ebook right now, the only fiberglass pool buying guide you'll ever need. Okay, Marcus is willing to give away, he's got 10 minutes of this video here, which is an excellent testimonial from well, it's not a testimonial, it's a comparison. It's a real frank talk from a real pool buyer who hadn't made his purchase yet and was considering different types of pools. So my point here is that Marcus is investing heavily. Let's look at his video page here also. He's investing heavily in giving lots and lots of information. Okay, as I just kind of scroll down here on his swimming pool video page, you can see Marcus has got answers to almost every question you could possibly imagine on swimming pools, on maintaining a swimming pool, buying a swimming pool, and on all the questions that go into buying a swimming pool and maintaining a swimming pool and making the decisions on what kind of swimming pool that might be right for you, right? Marcus is providing substantive information and lots of it before he expects anybody to download his guide, okay? That's what I want you guys to think about. So let's get back over here and realize the fact is your prospect probably does not understand what you sell or feel like they can afford what you sell or want to value your product or your service. They may not believe you that what you sell will do what you claim. They're very skeptical, right? So how can you use what you write on social media to overcome these objections? Well, the answer is your blog. Make sure that your blog contains meaty content that primes customers to take action and become a lead. Now, I know some of you guys don't have blogs, don't want to have blogs. You got to have a blog, especially in the business-to-business realm. You've got to be blogging. Okay, and I just told you why. Buyers are demanding more answers, more insights, more advice about their purchase up front. If you don't give it to them on your blog, early in the decision-making process, somebody else is going to do it. And I'm not the only one reporting this. Infusionsoft is an email company that is also reporting that buyers are registering less and less. Their clients are reporting this. Competitors are increasingly giving away their best knowledge. Where? On blogs. So it is more effective. It is becoming more effective to drive prospects, your prospects, to a blog first using effective copywriting on LinkedIn, on Google+, on Facebook. That's what I'm doing on Google+. That's what I'm doing on LinkedIn. That's what you should be doing. Facebook, whatever it is. Social media is all about short attention spans. These platforms demand very kind of pithy, catch-them-while-you-can type of messages. Social media are great for grabbing customers' attention and then directing them at something meaty, substantive. So right now, when writing on social media platforms, you're probably promoting content, right? And that's good, but make sure you're promoting content on your blog. You should be driving prospects to your blog now more than ever before. Be sure to use blog articles to prove yourself worthy of the buyer's contact information. And you want to create that irresistible curiosity in your lead generation offer, whatever it is you're giving away. So by doing this, you're going to prime the pump. You're going to prime those skeptical, demanding customers for your call to action. And if you do that, you're going to earn more leads more often. Okay? As an example, I'm not going to flash over to my blog because I've got so much to cover here, but check out my blog posts on my blog if you're looking for an example of what I'm talking about here in terms of where I'm landing people. I'm landing people on my blog in terms of a landing page. So think of your blog as the social media lead generation hub. Now, in this model, your effective copywriting on social platforms feeds your blog with visitors, because getting readers to convert to leads today demands not only the best copywriting on social platforms, it means we've got to have an effectively written long-form content that helps customers achieve a goal or avoid a risk or solve a problem. Right? The words that we write on our blogs, therefore, need to convince customers that we are, in fact, worth trading their personal information for, where we earn a lead. So whether you're selling business to business or to consumers, your blog is the content marketing hub, okay? It's the most effective way to prime customers for your lead generation offer. Okay, so how do we do that, Molander? How do we drive our Facebook people and our LinkedIn targets or Google Plus or Pinterest followers or blogs to our blogs that and make sure that our blogs actually get read and acted on and produce leads? Okay. Well, everything demands headlines, A+ grade headlines. Headlines are a great starting point for all of us. Headlines are needed for white papers, video content, email subject lines, Google Plus updates, and so on. So do images matter? Absolutely they do, but headlines are far more powerful in a business context. Okay. Bottom line, if your headline is weak, the meat of what you write will never get read, period. I see so many great pieces of short and long-form content out there that are not getting read. Why? Because people are trying to be clever. And believe me, I was one of them. Clever headlines that don't have anything to do with the practical value within the article that you wrote, just going to kill you every time. So be careful. A dash of cleverness here and there, great. So if you do use it, please use it sparingly and never use cleverness in a headline. So how can you start writing better headlines? Okay, I'm going to send you that in the ebook. Okay, after this course, I'm going to email you this guidebook so that you can put this training to action, and fast. So what I send you isn't going to overwhelm you. Don't worry. I know you've already got a lot on your plate, so it will be very practical, action-oriented. These are formulas that you can use very effectively. Okay, and as an example, if you are looking for an example for someone who's doing this really, really well, I want you guys to look at a site called zenspill.com, zenspill.com. And I want you to look at Neil Patel's site, quicksprouts.com. These guys are masters at headlines, okay? Copy what they're doing. Copy the formulas. And if you're not clear on what those formulas are, again, I'm going to be emailing you some of these formulas, and you're going to go, I see these guys using these formulas all the time. As an example, how to blank that blanks. How to do a mundane task, okay, that gives you a rewarding benefit. It's a perfect, it's a very good formula to improve your headlines, to get people interested in reading what you've written in your article, okay, or to click over and read. So as an example, how to get a mortgage that saves you money, okay, or how to get a 15-year mortgage that cuts your monthly payment in half. Very simple. So think about it in terms of your business. Blank ways to blank. You've got to use the numbers, right? People love these numbers. I hate them, but people love these 5 ways to simplify meals and entertainment, as an example. I used that one recently for a client who is trying to sell meeting planners on the idea of opting into cruises, on going onto a cruise line for a business cruise. 5 ways to simplify meals and entertainment. One way to do that is a cruise. Is a business cruise, believe it or not. So these are some of the really simple, really effective formulas that you can use. And maybe you guys are using these, okay? But here's some other ones. I love this one, how I failed at blank and what I learned. This one works for me in my business. You guys may have already seen me using this. It works like gangbusters. It just gets people to take action. Research tells us that our brains are, for some reason, designed to learn much more from lessons learned, from what did not work for people, from conflicts, from situations that were not successful. Because this presentation of words forces us to kind of rethink what was done and to do it better, to try harder next time around. So write headlines about your failures. or failures of others in ways that teach what you've learned, okay? So again, lots of formulas here, but very little time. And look for these in the email that I'm going to send you, okay? I can help you a lot with that. So number 5, affirm readers' choice. I mentioned this earlier. This gets back to my roots. It's a little from left field, but that's why you guys signed up for this, right? When I first became a sales rep, I had a mentor who taught me a few things. In essence, this was one of them. Without my really knowing it, he taught me this. My spin on it as a sales guy was, "Hi, my name is Jeff, and I'm sorry for interrupting you. Do you have 30 seconds to decide if a longer conversation would benefit you?" That was literally how I would start a cold call. "Hi, my name is Jeff. I'm sorry for interrupting you." Believe it or not, right there, you've shocked the hell out of people who take cold calls all the time. You've apologized to them for interrupting them. You've got their attention there. "Do you have 30 seconds to decide if a longer conversation would benefit you?" You've shocked them again. You've given them the choice. Even today, I make calls to action that reaffirm the other side's right to choose online. Know how many times I used to get hung up on making cold calls? Never. Almost never. And that is just for starters. It works the same with effective social media copywriting. So try it. Invite the prospect to say yes or no. Sounds scary? I know. Try it. Tell them, hey, the choice is yours when making a call to action. And by the way, you know why this works? Honestly, a few reasons. Number 1, hardly anybody is doing it online, right? Nobody has manners anymore. That's why it worked for me on cold calls. Nobody's doing this. Want to shock someone in a really good way? Directly ask for their permission. Okay. So, quick example. Think about when you choose to click links anywhere on the web. When someone tells you, like in LinkedIn, in a LinkedIn group, hey, click here and read some of my advice, right, on Facebook or LinkedIn, do you click? Not much, right? But if the writer words it differently, as an example, I'll offer you some of my best advice here. I'm confident it will help you, but the choice is yours. And then they give you the link. Now, would you click that time? More than likely you would. Because decades of psychological research proves, not just Molander, but a lot of research proves, affirming a buyer's right to choose gives them freedom. It emotionally and intellectually disarms them from being pitched something because you're giving them choice. So structure some of your calls to action in a way that reaffirms your prospect's freedom to choose. Play with this idea. Okay, you'll see me doing it. I like to play with it because it's very effective. Okay, number 6 is avoid too many descriptors. By this, I certainly mean hyperbole, but even more challenging in terms of making it a habit are adverbs and adjectives. Just take them all out. When you write something, go back and look for the adjectives and adverbs. Okay? Most social media copy is underperforming because it is built to fail. It is weak. It contains words that work against your goal. It helps customers decide to leave, to delete, or to look away instead of provoking the behavior that you want and that oftentimes they want. Well, one of the best ways to strengthen writing is to avoid words that sound powerful but create unwanted results. So, are you an expert? Then be an expert. Avoid being an internationally recognized expert. You sounded like George Carlin there for a minute. May he rest in peace. I love George Carlin. Can you, at least I reminded myself of George Carlin, I don't know about you, can you be a social media expert? God help you. Seriously, can you be a metal fabrication expert? A dental practice marketing expert? Yes, yeah, you can. Those are good, but if your product is a revolutionary innovation, just make it an innovation. Strip it down. Now, you may occasionally want to use a descriptor, an adverb or an adjective, but be careful. Use them sparingly, and you will find yourself strengthening your writing. Okay, number 7. Oh, we're finally there. Effective content makes buyers hungry for more content. Now, I believe it was Brian Clark who said this once a few years ago, and it really stuck with me. Every piece of content you write should make readers crave more. So does it? Seriously, ask yourself. Get into the habit. I started this. It's amazing. It's one of my best social media copywriting tips. It is not just a tip, it's a way of life. I really think it is the habit to form. I say this because it's just been so effective for me. Every time I finish writing something or producing a video, I ask myself, Jeff, did you just create a craving for more? Were you effective at creating kind of an intense curiosity among the readers or the viewers who I want to be my customers? So another way of thinking about it is this. What we are after is writing that makes prospects think, gosh, I wonder what else the author of this article knows that I need to know. Or, wow, I see the opportunity more clearly now. How can I get access to more of this kind of thinking? This is how to use social media to drive sales and leads, guys and gals, to get engaged followers to act. So get in the habit of asking yourself, hey, does what I'm about to put out there on social media solve a problem for the prospect or help them achieve a goal faster? Does our blog answer questions in ways that creates hunger for more answers, more content? Do our blog posts or social media blurbs give prospects a place to direct that curiosity? Right? Are you making those calls to action? Right? You may be making readers crave content, but you want them to also direct that curiosity. So that third one is the biggie. This is where the call to action comes into play, and knowing how to make an effective call to action is vital to success. Don't have time to get into all the details on calls to action today, but I'm really excited about our first social media copywriting class. We only let 25 people in to keep it nice and cozy so I can give you guys all the attention that you need. We're nearly at capacity, so if you're thinking about joining us, please type this URL into your browser and get all the details. Okay, the cost is just $287, and if you like what you learned here today, we get into all the details step by step in the class. Okay, in terms of forming habits, you actually leave the class with projects done. So what I do is I don't just teach you the success principles and then send you on your way. I teach you the success principles and then ask you to start taking action on them, putting them to work. There's homework. Okay, it takes place over the course of a couple weeks, and if you need to start turning engaged prospects into sales leads faster using effective social media copywriting, we start Monday. So be sure to hit my website if you would like more personalized attention to put everything that I showed you today into action in your business. Okay, best of all, in 2 weeks, you will be able to write in ways that provokes customers into becoming qualified sales leads, no matter what the technology is that comes next. I know it's like one after another, right? But seriously, this training is future-proof. That's the part I'm really excited about. Okay, so let's get to your questions. I don't have any. Let's see here. Oh, no, I do have some questions submitted. Let me see if I can just adjust my screen here without, so I can read these questions. Sorry for the delay. Okay, I have a question here. Let's see. From Jim, how can I make my readers crave more content? I am in the marketing field myself. My customers have typical pains finding new customers, upselling existing customers. Okay, so, but that's, let's see, how can I make my readers crave more content? Well, in the marketing field, in essence, Jim, if you have a blog, that's the best starting point for creating curiosity, especially in the marketing field. Where you've got I don't know if you're advising Jim on social media marketing, but that's pretty dime a dozen. At this point, you better have a blog. You better have, like Neil Patel as an example. There are some very respected voices and doing some very respected work. And when I say work, I'm talking about research, and I'm talking about step-by-step tutorials, and I'm talking about not 200 or 300 quick tips-oriented blog posts. I'm talking about 800 to 1,500 word, not research papers, but step-by-step tutorials in written format that, again, the idea is, the need is you've got to get that contact information. And in many cases, especially in business to business, Jim, you are going for that extra information. You may be trying to capture 3 or 4 other data points: the name, email address, company, and a few other data points on that customer's particular state of need or point in the decision-making process. If you're going to get that kind of information, you're going to have to part with some serious quantity and quality of information. And that's really, I guess I could answer the question numerous ways, Jim, but this time I'm going to choose to answer it this way because, you've got to have a blog that is you've got to use Facebook, you've got to use wherever your audience is. If my audience, as an example, really isn't on Facebook so much as they are on Google Plus and on LinkedIn, right? But you've got to use those places to promote your deeper, richer content. And I know those are buzzwords, but the meatier, the more substantive content. You got to have something new to say. You got to have a good headline, and you got to get them over using that headline, using that first couple of sentences that sparks their curiosity. Get them over to your blog. You've got to have the blog structured properly. And for those of you who have gone through the blogging course, this new copywriting course is very similar in terms of we're talking about how to structure the blog and how to get people halfway down that blog page and how important that is so they can get to your call to action and so that they're primed for your call to action. So again, I can tell you that I use LinkedIn extensively, Jim, to successfully court customers, attracting them to my training by first landing them on my blog, and I give away tips that are very specific to a specific pain. Sometimes a pain in a specific industry like insurance as an example. So let's see if I've got some other questions here. I like to check email sometimes also to see if there's anything in my inbox. Sometimes people, for some reason, submit to the email. Nope, nothing there, but I do have another one from, let's see here, from Susan. Susan says, I like number 6. All right, anything that's great. Anything that helps me differentiate myself from others is very important to me. So let's see, Susan, I'm sorry, I totally lost track of my controls here. I'm going to try this right away. Susan says, do you have any recommendations on balancing how many adverbs and such to keep versus throw away? That's an easy one. You're not going to like it, Susan. There's no silver bullet answer for that. The answer is no, I don't have any recommendations because, and anybody who tells you that they do is, and so many times we hear, the secret sauce formulas. They're lying to you. It really does vary. You might be able to get it into maybe industry niches might be somewhat similar, but you really have to experiment on your own. It really depends. Practice makes perfect. You really need to see what works in your own situation. I can only speak to my situation and some of the clients that I work with. It really is a balancing act, but I have found, and a majority of my clients have found, that the more that you strip away, the more that you don't sound like the other guy, number one, and the more descriptors, adjectives, adverbs that you strip away, the more that you are capitalizing on what I think was number 7. No, 5? I can't recall. Being able to give people choice, because that's essentially what you are communicating. Subconsciously, I'm not a psychologist, but I think that that's what you're doing, really, is you're subconsciously saying to them, you have a choice. You get to decide if this is I'm placing the adjective there to describe my service or my product, or how will this service be effective, and how quickly will it be effective? You might want to say within 2 weeks, or quickly. You might want to use those kind of descriptive words. It really is a balancing act, and those are good sometimes because you have to make a promise and you have to make a specific promise. But then again, you might want to strip out. It really depends on the structure of the page and the structure of the copy, Susan. So hope that helps. I don't see any other questions here. A little surprising. Maybe I've covered so much that I can't imagine that you guys don't have any questions. But I don't see any more rolling in here. I don't see any more in my email. I will call it an afternoon, I guess a morning, an afternoon, and an evening, depending on where you are. Thanks for your attention, everybody. Great to have you here. Get out there and make social media sell. And again, would love to have you part of the course. What the heck? Let's end on this note. It really is. I saved this slide just in case during Q&A, because it oftentimes there's an opportunity to use it. Just remember, how and when you speak on social media matters more oftentimes than what you actually say. In terms of getting the lead, getting the action, getting people to do what you want them to do, really, a lot of it is about how and when you speak. Does what you say matter? Absolutely, and I just got done explaining that with regard to how much you have to say and the quality of which you have to say on your blog, right? But in terms of enticing that action, always remember that how and when you speak oftentimes matters more than what you say. And again, that's a matter of timing, largely a timing of that call to action. That's really what we're talking about. And when do you give out certain bits of information, and when do you hold back? When do you, work at piquing that curiosity, and then once you've got that curiosity, using words to creatively with your call to action. So again, if you guys are interested, we'd love to have you part of the class. We're almost full up. Otherwise, get out there and make social media sell, everybody. Thanks. Have a great one. Bye-bye.